is a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies.
Hey, welcome to lesson number 13. Today's lesson will have particular meaning to those of you that are watching. Maybe there's some things going on in your life right now that have gotten you to the point where you almost feel overwhelmed. We know that life has twists and turns, and sometimes we get to the point where we feel like giving up. Lesson 13 is for you because it is entitled, Jesus Was Not Shaken by the Storms of Life. This passage is found in Mark chapter 4, and it says this. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let's go to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were other boats that came with them, and at that moment a furious squall came up and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. This was a storm. This wasn't just some light mist of rain. The waves were smashing against the boat and they were in peril. Jesus was in the bottom of the boat sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drowned?" He got up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Peace, be still." The wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why were you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this that even the wind and the waves obey him?" My friend, maybe that's you today. The waves are coming over your boat and you feel helpless. You feel like the end is near, and like the disciples, you're in a panic. Jesus is able to calm whatever storm it is that you're facing today. Now, I realize some of you are watching and you think, "Pastor, you have no idea what I'm going through," and you're right. But I have seen time and time again this Jesus calms storms beyond belief. I have a friend of mine, his name is Ray Givens. He goes to my church. We've been friends for over 25 years. Ray has a congenital heart defect, and as the years have passed, his heart has gotten weaker and weaker, and in the last 2 years, he's been on a heart pump. In December, his heart got so weak, the pump was no longer able to do what it was supposed to do. He got admitted into Henry Ford Hospital. Just before Christmas, I had a chance to go down there and visit him. When I walked into the intensive care room, I knew it was bleak. There were more machines than I'd ever seen before, and I've done a lot of hospital visits. There were more IV poles than I've ever seen and more bags of something going into him. He was unconscious on a ventilator. I looked over at his wife and she was feeling desperate, maybe like you are. The storm's overwhelming the boat. I saw that situation and I knew one thing. The only thing that was going to hope was a Jesus miracle. And not just an average miracle. I'm talking about a miracle like we saw in Mark chapter 4. As I left there that day, of course, I prayed with his wife, and on the way home I said, "Lord, we need a Red Sea miracle, a Mark chapter 4, peace be still miracle." I knew that without his help, I was not going to see my friend again. I got home that night, and his wife called me and said, "You're not going to believe it. Ray got a heart. They're doing a transplant in the morning." I rushed down there. We prayed before this day began. Of course, it's a long day, over 14 hours of surgery, and the recovery period is also very long. Ray came through that surgery, and in February I got a chance to visit him. He's alert and sitting up. You know the only thing he wanted to know? He wanted to know when he got back to church, could he stand up in front of everybody and talk about the miracle that Jesus did for him? It's unbelievable. My friend, I tell you that story for one reason. You might be facing a storm just like that where you think there is no hope. Mark chapter 4 is a reminder that Jesus can overcome any storm. Trust him, run to him, he'll help you today.